We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. We have back with us Jay of the Canadian Path. That's his name for
How's it
his
going, folks?
persona online. Jay is Gen Z. He's in California, but he has plans to move to Canada. And that's how he first came to the show. That was the premise. I got an email from Jay, and Jay said he's just really pissed off. I said, well, that's my kind of
Boy,
guy.
am I.
Let's get him on the show. Let's get him on the show. And we'll just acknowledge Jay is a young guy, so he's got a great perspective. I'm not telling any stories out of school. You're autistic, correct?
That's right.
And proud to be, and he's also very intelligent, very articulate. So we always like having him on the program. So let's start this out by getting stuff off your chest. You say you're angry. You say you're mad. Tell us about all the things you're angry about at this point.
Oh God. I think we're just going to start with the one that hits most close to home. This was like a personal betrayal for me,
Okay.
which is which is fucking Gavin Newscum. Yes, I did just go there.
I'm on board with you there. I always thought Gavin Newsom would be a good presidential candidate. I think he fucked it up for himself by trying to
Sorry, someone just
appeal
called
to
my
an
name. One
audience.
second.
All right. Go ahead. You can do what you got to do. I'll just talk about Gavin Newsom here briefly. Um, he's going to go off on talking about his problem with his governor, Gavin Newsom. And I tend to agree. He started a podcast, and in this podcast, he's had some
False
Trump-a-fuck,
alarm. False alarm.
rabid, radical right people on the show. And he hasn't
Fucking
sided
Charlie
with them.
Kirk on there.
Charlie Kirk and some other Steve Bannon. So yeah, I'm a little angry with Gavin Newsom, and I'm a little disappointed that he would be stupid enough to do this because, as far as I'm concerned, that puts him out of the running for a presidential candidacy.
You're well. He's to quote Hamilton. He never gonna be president now.
Right.
And and to be honest, I'm glad because you think you're going to run for president, so you think you have to shift right, and your way of shifting right is inviting fucking Charlie Kirk on your show with you.
But
What the fuck, Gavin?
I've said this to other people who are on TikTok and podcasting. If you start a podcast or a TikTok by thinking to yourself, how am I going to get a lot of viewers? How am I going to get a lot of listeners? You're taking the wrong approach. How about just doing a good show and see where the listeners and the viewers come from? I'm sure he signed with some company that's paying him a bunch of money. We got to get a bunch of people right away. We got to make money right away. So let's have Charlie Kirk. That would be fucking crazy. That would be cool. Now, had Gavin Newsom done what he should do and go after the guy and call him out on shit, that would be fine. Problem with Gavin Newsom is, and I've said this even before this, one of the problems Gavin Newsom would have in winning a presidential election in 2028, he's too smooth, he's too establishment, and people have already said they don't want that. So
Well, and he's from fucking California, and apparently everyone hates us now.
I don't hate you.
No, I know, but there are so many memes online of people just trashing California. I do not understand it.
I haven't noticed that. Why are they trashing California?
Because they're insecure about their own state. Pretty simple.
Oh, okay. Okay. Acreage envy, maybe.
Yep. Yep. It's funny
GDP
how
envy.
I went and commented on like there's a whole subreddit called r/Florida man about all the crazy fucked up shit that comes out of Florida, and some guy was going on ragging on California and saying you have this subreddit, you should try California, blah, blah, blah. And I went and I stuck up for my state. Hey, we have fourth largest economy in the world. Yeah, we have a homelessness problem, but that's because more people live here. We don't get hurricanes and wildfires. Well, maybe the wildfires, but that's less common. Florida gets wildfires too somehow. I don't understand it. But I went and I stuck up for my state. And this guy said all this stuff about you don't have to rag on Florida because you're insecure about your state. I'm like, bitch, I don't need to be insecure about my state. My
I'll
state might
rag
have
on
its problems. Your state is a fucking meme.
I'll rag on Florida. I'm from Minnesota, and Minnesota's just fine. We don't have those kinds of problems. Let me ask you this. Now, with this current revelation with Gavin Newsom and the Chuck Schumer move the other day by just
Oh God,
bending over
fucking
and taking
Schumer,
it
he's
up the
got to
ass from the
go.
Republicans.
He's got to go yesterday.
Yeah, and we've been saying that well before this. He's too old, he's too weak. We've been saying this before the whole CR thing. But do you ever, as a young man, look at this situation and go, okay, I know I hate the Republicans because they're trying to overthrow the government. But we look at the Democrats, how much better are they? They're not as violent and egregious as the Republicans, but in some ways they seem complicit or lazy or absent or weak or whatever. It's almost like we don't have a good choice.
Well, it's a combination of what Will says. They lived in this fucked up bubble, the Washington bubble,
Yeah.
and the other part of it is that stupid bullshit thing that Hakeem Jeffries wants to do, where they want to find common ground. They want to be bipartisan. No, no, no. Stop, 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 stop with the bipartisan. Stop it. Stop.
They've been trying that for 8 years and it hasn't worked. And I have a rule in my life. If I try something once or twice and it doesn't work, I try something fucking different. And as I've said before, it's one thing to have fighting in politics, but we are in a literal war, a guerrilla war. And we better be fighting on their terms or we're going to get our asses kicked. And we've been getting our asses kicked. So learn a fucking lesson.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing I wanted to mention about Charlie Kirk earlier. If I were in Gavin Newsom's position, this is, we're talking, this is me, not Gavin Newsom, and I get this, we got to get a bunch of money in here, we got to invite all these people on. I'm saying, I'm not inviting Charlie Kirk on because simply it's for his safety, not mine. I'll break that fucker's neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I tell you what, I've said this before. You could put Donald Trump in front of me and any other Trump will pluck below him. And this sounds arrogant, but you got to hear me out on this. No matter who they put in there, any Republican, Ben Shapiro, Donald Trump, Charlie Kirk, I know that I can destroy them in a debate. And
I
here's
believe it.
why. I know how they do it. They talk loud and they talk over you. Well, I'm good at that too. And I would use that against them and that would fuck them up. I have truth, justice, the law on my side. And if you don't just, I watch these media guys say, well, what about this? And then they do this and they let them rant and rave. I'm not going to let them rant and rave. I'm going to say that's a bullshit lie. Please back it up. But see, this is the problem. Our media and our politicians, even our Democratic politicians, they don't know how to fight. And you got to give the same energy that the Republicans are giving. And I'm sorry if it's against your sensibility, but this is what we need to do.
Yeah, my response to somebody like Charlie Kirk or one of these other far right dipshits spouting off all their nonsense is, dude, you talk a big game with all that smack coming out of your mouth. I wonder how much fun you'll have talking with a mouthful of broken teeth. How about that?
Yeah.
How about them
Yeah.
apples?
When I was your age or 20 or 21 or something like that, I would have said the same thing. Shut up or I'm gonna kick your fucking ass. Now that I'm
Shut
65,
up or I'll make you.
yeah, fighting isn't really number one on my list of things to do. I would like to, but I'm smart enough to know I'm fucking 65. Now I do have a son who's 6'3" and about 240, but I don't know if he'd back me. He may not back me, but
I don't
nonetheless,
know. I don't know.
I honestly don't know. My 4-year-old granddaughter will be up there mixing that shit up, but my son's a different story.
Yeah.
So, how you feeling as a young man? Now, you have plans to go to Canada. Is that still on track? Is
Yeah.
that still what you're planning to do?
Yes, it is. The exact career path changed a little bit. My my current top tier plan, and this is not final, right? This is up in the air, but this is my top choice right now. I had a very wonderful, informative information session, and I think I'm going to be doing another one tomorrow with another young man named Julian, also on the spectrum, and this guy living in Switzerland who works for this company called Novartis, which is a pharmaceutical giant, international giant based in Switzerland. And if you want an idea of what the sort of things that they do, a number of the COVID vaccines can be traced back to them.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
sure,
familiar with the name.
Pfizer and Moderna and such maybe distributed them, but a lot of the research and supplies and such came from Novartis.
Right.
Well, they
So,
have a Canada branch headquartered out of Montreal, and from what I've heard, they're pretty fun to work for.
well, how, and you have to go to school what for 4 years to be in a position to be able to do something like that, or is it shorter than that?
Yeah, yeah, probably, maybe, maybe not. I'm transferring, so my actual college day might be shorter, but I think there's a way you can like stay on to like finish your bachelor's or your master's or whatever the terminology is. It's bureaucratic stuff that I don't really have a lot of you know uh, eyes on right now.
Do you speak French?
It's kind of stuff to be figured out. I tried to take French classes, and well, that just ask my teacher for how well that went over. Um,
Well, I say that because in Montreal, French is kind of an important language to
oh no,
learn.
no, they're headquartered in Montreal. They have offices and workplaces all across Canada. That's just where
Oh, okay.
the big head building is. So
I
you
got you.
could live in Vancouver and work for Novartis out of there, especially because I'm told they have a lot of people that work from home.
Well, since we last talked, this whole tariff bullshit started up. It's on, it's off, it's on. The premier from Ontario is going to cut off the electricity. It's been
Doug
an
Ford, yeah.
absolute chaotic shit show. And apparently that's what Donald Trump likes. What's your gut feeling about Canada and how they look at the United States? I know they don't hold us responsible. They hate Donald Trump. But what do you think about the prospect if tariffs are in place? They're going to damage this country's economy, but it's going to devastate the Canadian economy as well.
I think Canada has other options than us. To be honest, I think they just fill in the gap. To be honest, I mean we are their biggest trading partner, but we're not the only one. They don't rely on us. They don't really need us if you think about it.
Well, they rely on us,
Um,
but like you say, they do have options, and they would have to consider those options. Those
yeah,
options aren't quite as good because you have to ship shit farther. But if that's your only option, well, what the hell? At least you can sell it someplace, unlike our farmers who can't sell their soybeans fucking anywhere.
no, exactly. I Here's what I can tell you about Canada. I have some advice for them. I think Canada can make a fucking killing out of this presidency. What I mean by that? Well, there are a bunch of young college age men like me who are looking at what's going on. They're like, we don't have a shot in this country because the labor market's being screwed over, housing markets are through the roof, the culture wars are blowing up everywhere. There's violence, there's mayhem, there's death threats, there's hate, there's this, there's that, and then they turn their eyes up north. I'll tell you this: Canada could make a fucking killing and grow their workforce a lot by starting up a program for people who don't think they have a shot here and bring them into the workforce up north. And then you'll
That's
get
an
a
interesting
massive brain
concept.
drain.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to get a massive brain drain anyway. There'll be people um, leaving anyways just because they're fearful of whatever that might be a problem for them. But that's not a bad idea. If I'm Canada and they want to fuck around with products and tariffs and stuff like that, taking their able-bodied men and women with high intelligence and good work ethics, that could be very profitable to them. And the interesting thing about Canada too is when you hear people like Doug Ford and Ontario and some of the other ones, these people aren't people that are going to be cowed away. Not only are they going to stand up, they've got some creative ways to come back. The whole idea of going after red states over the blue states. There's some
Oh
conniving
yeah.
motherfuckers, and I've known a lot of Canadians in my life, and I can tell you what, they're not weak. They don't. They're nice
No,
people.
no, they're fucking not.
They're nice people. They're polite people. But if you push them, they'll drop the gloves
That's
theoretically.
Yeah. Or, that's what they say in hockey, elbows up.
Yeah.
The the Geneva Convention was created after the Second World War because the Canadians were fucking out of control. I mean, the old saying goes that it's not a war crime the first time. Fuck it, half the war crimes listed in the Geneva Convention were probably put in there because of what the Canadians did.
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with the Canadians, and Donald Trump is maybe putting himself in a
No, you
bad
don't.
situation. What do you think about the new prime minister, Carney?
Who? Mark Carney?
Yeah,
Well, considering the fact that he won the party leadership with what 85% of the vote, I'd say he's a good choice.
yeah. Well, and
He
besides that,
he's a nice. He's been in banking. He's a tough guy. He said we're never going to be 51st state ever. He he's almost like a folk hero and like the good kind, not a fake one like Orange Hitler we have here.
well, the politics in Canada work differently than we have here. So he is currently the prime minister, but right now it's kind of an interim job, right? You guys got to have an
Yeah,
election.
he doesn't technically have a parliamentary seat.
So what happened? When does that election come, and what happens then? Is he in the running too? Could he still remain the prime minister?
Well, he's the party leader, so if his party wins a majority of seats in parliament or forms a coalition with another party that lets them have enough seats, he's prime minister because he's
Okay,
by virtue of being the party leader. No one runs for prime minister in Canada, as
right.
Elizabeth
Okay,
May pointed out.
that's a good point. But by him doing what he's doing by pushing back against America, that's got to be working in his favor in Canada and the support for him. You
Oh
said
yeah.
85% voted for him.
Well, that's in his own party, but even on the national stage, his party's polling at what? Will said like 43%. It's probably
Yeah.
higher at this point. Pierre Polyev and the conservatives are running scared. They're underwater. I mean, they're fucked. I'm just gonna say it. The Pierre Polyev and the conservatives are fucked. It's because
Yeah,
what you gonna do,
that's
Pierre?
yeah.
What you gonna do? Your favorite whipping dog has jumped out of the coop. You don't have it. You don't have anything to run on except I hate the other guy. What are you gonna do, Petey?
Well, and that's what the Republicans do pretty much down here. One of the biggest problems we have in America is, of course, Elon Musk. Seems like
Oh
the wheels
God.
are coming off the wagon with Elon Musk. He's losing. He lost what 150. He lost 150 billion dollars in what's going on with Tesla's, the boycott, which are
Oh yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
The company lost half the value of its stock in since Christmas. Things aren't going well for Tesla. And then Donald Trump comes out and
No.
tries to do a little car commercial, which isn't going to help. And this thing is going to fade. Tesla's going to fade and ultimately go bankrupt. And that's going to be a big problem, not only for Elon Musk, it's going to be a plus um, for this country because without his money, he doesn't have as much influence over the kind of shit he's trying to pull. But you got to be happy about Elon Musk taking his shit.
Yeah. I'm just. To be honest, though, I will only be fully satisfied once that fucker is dead. To be honest, I hate to go here, but this is how mad I am. Please, somebody, please, 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 Luigi, that guy. Somebody, please do it. Please, I fucking
Well,
need that.
well, the thing about it is I read something in something today about something along those lines, and I've said this all along. Uh, for Elon Musk and Donald Trump, you better be tightening up that security around them because you pissed off all the people in this country. You've pissed off poor people, middle class people. You're pissing off rich people. You're pissing off other countries, other fucking religions. And I understand that Elon Musk, one of the reasons why he's staying in the White House is because of how many death threats he's getting. And I'm not surprised. And he should be concerned. He's not going to be as protected as Donald Trump is. And people hate this motherfucker
No.
everywhere you go.
Yeah, they do. They do. Um, Speaking of Canada, did you know Elon Musk has Canadian citizenship through his mom, who was from is from Canada, and is apparently so fucking racist that his racist as fuck dad was like, "Whoa, slow down, calm your shit.
Yeah.
He got applied for a Canadian passport so he could squeak his way out of South Africa's mandatory military service. Well, fuck
Right.
me
Right.
if we ain't got two fucking draft dodgers in the White House now.
Absolutely. I'd heard something that he left South Africa and can't really go back because of
No, they.
the drafting of the
I'm pretty
or
sure they just
dodging the
shoot
draft.
him if he went back.
Really?
I'm pretty
You
sure they
think
just shoot him if he tried to go back.
you got to wonder how bad the narcissism and the arrogance is in a guy. I was asking somebody about this. You're going in and you're slashing budgets and you're firing people, and then you sit back and you realize, shit, my stock is going to shit. A normal person would say, maybe I ought to slow it up or cool it off a little bit. Fucker just keeps doing it. It's like he's asking to be destroyed. That just seems weird to me.
Well, I mean, his brain is melting into slag from all the ketamine he's doing, so maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, probably. That's the thing is everybody says he's so smart. I sit and listen to him talk. I could say a lot of things about Elon Musk, but based on the way he articulates things, he doesn't appear to be smart to me. He seems to be disoriented, disjointed. He's not clear in what he says. He goes off on tangents. He's a lot like Donald Trump, but just not as old. I don't know if it's the ketamine or he's just a weirdo. He's just
Ketamine's probably not
odd,
all he's doing. Ketamine's probably not all
probably.
he's doing. I imagine there's probably other shit in there. Um, I gotta say this to kind of get this off my chest. This is probably the most fucked up thing I've heard so far.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, before that, I kind of got to warm up to that with two really fucked up things that have happened so far up to this point.
Sure, take your
First
time.
one, first one was Orange Voldemort invoking the illegal aliens act or illegal enemies act or something
Right.
like that to basically be allowed to arrest and deport anyone he wants for any reason at all.
Yeah, and I think that a judge put a stop to it or put a pause on it today, later
Oh,
today. I'm not sure of that, but
that got shut down fast as hell. Yeah, I'm just going to come out and say this. I firmly believe that somewhere in his heart, Orange Voldemort, I'm not going to say his name because I'm worried about 5 or 6 taboo words that even that I don't want to say would follow it. I think I legitimately think somewhere deep down in that withered, shriveled excuse for a heart he has, he wants to purge this country of all people of color. And there's one reason and one reason only that he wants that. Hear me out. I don't think he would. I don't think he would get it. I don't think he would actually get that. But this is why I think he wants that. People of color to this man remind him of the one man he hates more than anyone else in the world, more than his own father, and that is Barack Obama.
yeah, there may be something to say about that. I mean, and I think it all stems from that press meeting that they had where Barack Obama made fun of him. I think that made him
I don't think
livid.
it's
And
that. I don't.
you don't think it's
I don't even necessarily think it's that. I think it's. I think it's two things. One, he's black because Orange Voldemort is racist as hell.
well, there's no question about that.
And two, I think the reason he has amplified that hatred up to the level that it is because Barack Obama is everything Orange Voldemort never was, is not, and never will be.
Yeah.
Popular, successful, and productive.
It's funny. Donald Trump makes some poor choices and he won't back down off them. And when the
How about
results are
fucking
poor,
existing?
yeah,
That's a fucking
exactly.
poor
But
choice.
I mean, I heard a comment from Donald Trump when somebody asked him, "Well, you said the prices would come down, or the tariffs would not affect the stock market." This is what he said. He said, "Well,
Fucking
yeah,
liar.
I was being a little sarcastic."
You goddamn liar. You
That's what he
goddamn
is.
liar is what I say to that.
This is what I have a hard time understanding from Trumplafucks. Stuff like he'll say the things he says and they'll get behind him, then it will be just the opposite. And, or they'll be taken by surprise by being hurt by some of the things he does, like the farmers. And they'll say, I didn't think he really was going to do it. Well, he did say it. And my question to you is, why are you voting for somebody you don't believe anything he says? You just told me you didn't believe he would do it, but you knew he said it. This is some kind of mental illness with these people. I mean, when you grow up and become a big boy or a big girl, you got to make hard choices. You buy a house, you buy a car, you have kids. You
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
base that on lies. You got to base it on truth.
Funny you should use this language. We talk about this being a mental illness. You talk about this being a cult and this and that. There's also another side to it, and this is what I was building up to before. I went to over Labor Day weekend when last time I was on the show when I was on holiday. That
Yeah.
weekend I went to a Unitarian Universalist retreat in Davis with the Unitarian Universalist community of California.
Okay.
Unitarian Universalists, we're a liberal denomination of the Christian faith. Sorry, we exist. People, look it up. Um, and one of the guys who was at this Unitarian Universalist convention, it was more like a youth group get together. Really, it wasn't really a convention, but he talked with his. He mentioned how he talked with his cousin who lives in Idaho or some shit and is a dumb fuck, is a MAGA fuck, and he said, "How's this going for you? How's this working out for you?" And talking about, like, you realize this guy's losing us allies. He's decimating our economy in the trade war. He could potentially get the world pulled into a mass world war. This guy could destroy the world. And this is the scary part. This is the fucked up part. This guy's cousin looked at him dead in the eye and said, straight faced, without a hint of irony, "That's why I voted for him." And hold on, I know there's a lot of questions. I heard that. I was like, what the fuck? But it gets worse. And so obviously, this guy hears saying, like, this guy could destroy the other guy says, "That's why I voted for him." He says, excuse you? And what this guy says is, I swear to God, this guy basically says, why would I want to keep living in a world that's designed to fuck me over? He this is building up to what you said before, this being a mental illness, it being a cult and all of it. Also, some people just literally want to destroy the entire world. You want to know why? Because they think it's rigged against them. They think it is especially built to fuck them.
I think that's true. I think that's one of the reasons for Donald Trump's success. I've said this before. Um, Donald Trump talks like your crazy drunken uncle in a bar when they talk about politics. That's how he talks. So people can relate to him. And he's basically saying what they want to hear. You've got the poor people, the red state people. He's basically saying, government's fucking you over and I'm going to be your champion. They've never had a champion before. So they can't pick a good one or a bad one. So they just jump on board with Donald Trump and they trust whatever Donald Trump says, just like kids trust whatever their mom and dad say. I also think that some of these people believe, I know they believe this, they believe that Donald Trump is going to do all these horrible things, but it's only going to impact Democrats. Well, they're finding out differently now. And at the same time, I think some of these people have some I don't know if it's narcissism or some other neurosis or psychosis. They just cannot, under any circumstance, admit they're wrong.
No,
They will say they're right until they die. And that's crazy.
because admitting they're wrong would actually break part of their psyche. Every time a narcissist or one of these dumb fucks has to admit they're wrong, it literally damages their brain a little bit, and they hate it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think they voted for Donald Trump because they felt like the country was oppressing them and ripping them off and all that sort of thing. And They finally got somebody they believes in them, and they're going to fight to the death because, like you said, I don't want to live in a place that's fucking me over. Maybe these people are on
No,
their last limb and they don't have anything to lose. They figure they're not going to make it anyway.
yeah, that's true. What it goes beyond is when this guy at the UU conversation talked to his cousin and said, if Russia goes into Poland, it pulls in NATO, this could escalate into a world war. This could literally destroy the entire human race, and we could go extinct. His cousin wanted that. He wanted a nuclear war. He wanted everyone to be wiped out. He wanted everything to be destroyed irreparably forever. All because he thinks he's not getting his fair cut.
He sounds like he should be put on a suicide watch. With a guy with that temperament and that mindset,
Yeah.
he's not a safe person to himself
No,
or to
he's
anybody
not.
around
And
him.
no, he's not. And the family are still talking about it like, well, what the fuck do we do? I mean, we're not qualified to handle this, and I
Well,
I
you know,
just
the thing about it
this
is
is
we
what
talk
we're
about the homelessness with the mentally ill and such, you know, with the mentally ill and what Ronald Reagan did by putting them out on the streets.
oh god,
Um,
that fucking fuck. I will
yeah,
hate
he's a
that
piece of.
fucker till the day I die. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm in the same
I'll tell
boat.
you this much. I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
get this out really quick. I'll tell you this much. George W. Bush was dumb, but he wanted to try to do something good. But the problem was he was a dumbass who surrounded himself with some of the worst fucking people in the world.
Are you talking about George W. or George H.W.?
George W. Bush.
Okay.
George W.
He,
Bush. George W. Bush wanted to try to do something good-ish, maybe, but he was dumb as hell and didn't know how. Reagan was
well, I
fucking
think,
evil. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I will say it till the day I die. Reagan was evil.
yeah. You have to understand, too, he's from a different generation, and this isn't excusing him, but he comes from an era when racism was accepted, when anti-Semitism was accepted. And it's crazy to say, but that's where they came from. And actually, Donald Trump did too. I tell people I was born in 1960, and in the 60s, even up and through the early 70s, there was a lot of segregation going on. There was busing going on. There was all kinds of things going on. If someone said the N word, nobody freaked out about it. They go, oh, you probably shouldn't say that, but okay, that's kind of funny. That's what would happen. So we've come a long way in terms of the perception of racism. When you get people born in the 1910s or 20s or 30s, all they ever knew was racism. Of course, black people are beneath us. That's what this country was about then. So it's a matter of people trying to learn and change their perspective as they get older. And most people just don't do it. So these people that are older teach their kids and then they teach their kids. And if there is no progress made, you've got the same racist fucks that you had in 1915.
Yeah, exactly. And same with autistic people. People in my community. We used to be persecuted and put in mental institutions and have experiments done on us. We used to be lobotomized because
Yeah.
people thought we were mentally damaged or diseased. And God forbid someone be that in the fucking 50s when everybody was obsessed with having that stupid fucking picket fence look.
Well, you know what's weird about it is too is that in most of the autistic people I've met, it's not so much they're lesser than; it's just that they're different. And that says a lot about a country who persecutes people who just happen to be different, different color, different religion, different sexual
Different
orientation,
race.
autistic people. I mean, this is pretty prevalent in this country and it has been for years and years. I think people are fearful of anybody that's different. Somebody who's not educated and doesn't understand, and they meet you and they notice that you may be different than the average person because of your autism, that scares them. And that's largely what drives all Republicans. It's fear. I'm fear of the African Americans taking over the majority. I'm worried that people of different sexual orientations might try to assault our kids. It's absolute ignorance and it's fear. They're
Yeah.
perpetually afraid.
And we all remember what Master Yoda said in The Phantom Menace: fear's the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Right.
And damn if that isn't true.
It's playing out right in front of us.
Exactly.
That's exactly what's going on.
Another some dumb fuck went online after Orange Voldemort won the election, and he said something like, "Thank God, I can rest safe knowing my kids are safe from the gay agenda." There is no fucking gay agenda, you bigot.
Well, and the whole transgender thing is just so silly. Um, we're talking about a small percentage of people
Transgender
in this
people are
country.
not grooming kids.
No,
They're not.
old white
You
men
know
are
who is
though.
grooming kids? Yeah, exactly. Remember that guy I talked about last time, Bo Michael Dresner, the guy who went to prison for 4 centuries for assaulting, raping children
Yeah,
and distributing all those very illegal images with intent to promote?
yeah.
Sounds to me like you know exactly who the groomers are. They're coming from your own fucking party.
It does seem proportionately out of control in the
The, the,
Republican
the,
Party. Every time you hear somebody arrested, it's somebody from the Republican Party. But don't you think though that
the
that is
projection is
part of this?
astounding.
That's like the strategy of Donald Trump. He will start complaining about something and it'll end up being exactly what he's doing. It's really kind of a amateurish, clumsy attempt to cover up your own crimes. So it seems.
Yeah, it's always everything with all these people. I swear to God, with some people in this country, you can offer them free money and blame anyone but them for their problems, and they will let you blow up the entire planet. Like
Yeah.
literally, you could just bring in the Death Star, blow up the entire planet, and they'd be fine with it as long as they get their free money and they get that absolvance of any kind of responsibility.
Now, Jay, you're acknowledged religious guy, right?
Um, yeah, thereabouts. I'm a Unitarian Universalist. If I am, I don't attend church very much these days, but if I am religious, I would say I'm okay. My thing is I'm agnostic, but I have a certain amount of spiritualness, not quite like what Kirsten has, but
Yeah.
um, kind of like this. The spirit of the thing is what counts, and it's a community thing. Like we have a lot of stuff based on covenants. So yeah, I would say I'm kind of religious or religious adjacent.
Okay. Based on that, how are you feeling about the culpability of religion in all this bullshit we're going through now? Because religion is a big part of it. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying your religion is, I'm just saying a religion is.
yeah, it is. People were talking about how religion has been on the decline in this country for decades and decades,
Right.
and recently you know it's kind of going in the other direction, and it's because the Christian nationalists are in power or whatever. Honestly, I don't think that's the case. I think if anything, this accelerates the downfall of religion because of you know I'm just going to say this: the Christo fascists who want to turn the country into a theocracy, they're not going to get their way
No.
because the courts and the people are not going to fucking stand for that. But if anything, you're actually alienate your own people, people of various religions. I mean, the really not so religious right, like the evangelicals and things like that, they're a lost cause. They're psychotic, they're insane. But for religion in general, I actually did want to say this. my teacher for our English class showed a video in class of, it was meant to be like on a thing on like delivering your argument, and it was basically two Christian nationalist fucks, although they were kind of framed as not that, and they were facing off against Adam Carolla and some other scientist guy. Hold on. The two Christian nationalist fucks. It was one white guy and one Indian woman, and the arguments were: do we need a religious revival in the West, or do we not? And the first round they did a poll, and they had people like sent text in yes or no, and the yes people got like 70 something percent. Now, granted, this event took place in a convention center in Texas, so that probably doesn't mean much. But at the same time, they did their speeches, they did their debates, they did this and that. And one of the really useful arguments the guys on the other side brought up is, if the United States is the most religious country in the world, which there are more religious people in the United States than anywhere else, why are all these other horrible statistics like, violent crime, deaths, robberies, poverty, all this stuff, why is that higher than anywhere else? Why do you guys scream about the benefits of religion when it clearly is not working? So that's part of it. Another part was the the Indian lady at one point said something like, "Given that Christianity is the backbone of this country," I just stood up and walked out of the fucking class when I heard that.
Yeah.
I was mad. I was pissed.
Well,
And the teacher knew it.
the thing about it is that that whole debate is a fucked up debate. I'll say this up front.
It is.
I
It's
am
an easy
not
answer.
I am against organized religion. And
Oh,
and
me
I'm
too.
not saying all
Absolutely.
organized religion is bad, but I'm saying organized religion has problematic because you have humans coordinating, facilitating, and using it for money and power to one extent or another. Even if you're not a
Yep.
greedy fuck, you still got to pay the bills. And when you got to pay the bills, that will taint how you react and how you treat people. But to suggest that, okay, on this side, there should be religion, on this side, religion doesn't exist, God doesn't exist. I think that's a fucked up, extreme conversation. For me, it's somewhere in the middle because to think
Well,
there isn't something out
hold on.
there that's bigger and stronger than you, that's crazy. To think that I have to go to a church to be in touch with that, that's crazy. To suggest there's nothing because science or whatever, that's stupid. Science is important, but it's a tool, it's not a belief.
Hold on now. I just realized I misspoke. I fucked up that wording. Adam Carolla's counter argument to the Indian lady, the other white pastor fuck, I forgot what their names were. Basically the argument on their side is, it wasn't like, let's not get rid of religion forever. It's, we don't need a big religious revival. Like, we don't need a huge like Christian nationalist movement or whatever. We don't need a bunch of people to become religious again. We could maybe just keep it as it is, where some people are religious, some are not, because their whole thing is, you can believe in something, you can believe in a higher power, you can believe in this, that, and the other thing, but the answer to all the problems that the world is facing is, it's not to get religion, it's that there's a whole bunch of unaddressed problems that we're not dealing with now. Of course, they ended up basically saying people are on their smartphones too much, and they need more integrity. What the fuck, guys? It's literally because the rich are ass fucking everyone else.
Right.
But basically, in the end, the thing had flipped. The guys who said we don't need a religious revival ended up winning 62% of the audience. So they
Right.
took the debate evening. And I also
Yeah.
wanted to clarify that I didn't just walk out of class and then not come back when that Christian nationalist lady spewed her propaganda bullshit. I just walked out and stayed out for the rest of the video and then came back in, because I was in serious danger of just standing up and throwing something at that fucking projector screen. I'm glad I didn't, because I probably would have gotten kicked out, but I was pissed. I was really fucking angry.
Well, and you bring up something that I think is important. People touch base with me in comments, DMs, in emails, and even in the lives. And what really troubles me the most is I get a lot of people who contact me, and they are absolutely terrified, and justifiably so. They're terrified because there's surviving on Social Security. They're worried about the prospect of losing their Social Security. Without Social Security, they're homeless. They can't buy food. They can't do anything. So naturally, they're frightened and upset. And I said at this point, um, being frightened and upset is exactly what Republicans want you to do. Instead of being frightened and upset and scared, everybody should be doing what you're talking about doing, being angry. Do something about it. Speak out,
Yeah,
protest, do whatever, make as much noise as possible. People say we need to do more than that. Well, the fucking election didn't give us many more options. We hope that the courts hold up and we get loud because public opinion does matter and public opinion does have a certain amount of power. But instead
it
of
does.
just curling up in a corner and crying, get out there and fucking fight because that's what it's going to take.
Yeah. This has kind of always been my attitude. When I was younger and I was in grade school, I noticed that, there would be bullying, there would be, all that stuff going on because every place has that.
Yeah.
And some kids I noticed would get bullied and they would just fold up and they would cry. And I wanted to clarify here, I used to be the epitome of an idealist as a kid. I was bright, I was happy, I was friendly. I always tried to resolve every problem amicably. At one point when there was some kind of family argument going on, I said, "What is wanted here?" And my mom has always been like, "Huh." Like she loved hearing that and has wanted me to try doing it ever since. I don't know why I haven't. It just hasn't come up. But but I was the kid who went, "Okay, hold on now. Let's not fight about it." But when people were really pushing my buttons and like, push me on past the point of no return, sure, maybe once or twice I did break down, but most of the time I just got mad.
Yeah.
And as an example of that, I was in grade school or thereabouts, and some girl, I don't remember what her name was. It might have been Bella or Ella or something with something along those lines. And she was doing that thing that girls sometimes do to kids in grade school, where it's kind of like you're not sure if they're trying to say that they like them or not,
Yeah.
or they could just be being a jerk. She was like, poking me in the back of the head, pulling my hair, squeaking her chair, which I really hated because I had noise sensitivity issues. And she was saying all this stuff like, "Ha ha ha! I bet you like me! Ha ha ha!" Just being a little shit. And I kind of put up with it. I was like, "Can you please not do that? I'm trying to, you know." I might have been doing one of those things where how they have those in some classrooms, they have those like wooden model jigsaw puzzle things of like the United States. I used to do that. I would put
Yeah.
together this wooden model of the United States. I think I might have been doing one for Canada actually. And
Okay.
and this sounds like some kind of fucked up coincidence, but it was yeah, they I'd been doing the one with the United States, and the teacher just handed out the one for Canada, and I was like, "Whoa, what a weird pattern!" And I didn't know what it was. I didn't give a shit. But anyway, the point was, I was kind of just trying to ignore her. I was like, "Hey, can you please not do this? I'm trying to do my work." And she just keeps on poking me and poking me. And she's like, "Please don't. I asked you not to." And eventually, I just got fed up, and she said, "Ha ha! I bet you like me. I bet you like." I turned around and I snapped in her face. My self esteem is not low enough to like you, and that shut her up real quick.
Well, and there's something to be said about that. You don't always have to smack them in the face. You just have to embarrass them a little bit because that usually shuts them down. Um, I've been bullied in my life when I was a little kid. Not a lot because I was a bigger kid, but the times I was bullied, the only time it ever stopped is when I slapped the shit out of them. And people say, well, what if you can beat me up? I tell you what, with bullies, if you fight back, they'll still, even if they beat you up, they'll probably still not come at you because that's not what they want. They want somebody who's going to cower. They want somebody who is going to give up right away. They're cowards in their own right, and they don't want to take a chance of getting a shot either. Um, but that brings us to what we're dealing with the Democrats right now. A lot of people feel the Democrats are weak. They have no leadership, and Democrats are getting a little frustrated. I mean, they're not going to side with the Republicans, but they don't feel like we have any hope with the Democrats based on how they're behaving.
No, if I'm being honest, I kind of feel like we just need to primary out every single one that hasn't stood up and said something.
I
And that
agree.
includes the normally like what the progressive ones that would be on our side. Like AOC standing up saying stuff, step it up, but I like what you're saying. Jasmine Crockett will keep her. Al Green definitely keep that guy cuz god damn, he's a fucking warrior. Um but all the rest they're all they got to go. They
Well,
all got to go.
there's a handful of Democrats that do stand up, but I'm disappointed by most of the Democrats because they're playing into the fucking hands of the Republicans who are playing into the hands of Donald Trump. The idea that a 78, soon to be 79-year-old illiterate dumb fuck has got all these people kowtowing to him is absolutely fucking embarrassing to me. If this guy, Donald Trump, worked in your office or you went to school with him, you wouldn't give him the fucking time of day because he's a dipshit. The guy is not a bright man. I don't care what people said. Oh, he's smart. No, he's not. Listen to the fucker talk. He's not smart. But the fact that
No,
this
of course he
country,
wasn't smart to begin with, but now his,
no, he
his
never,
he's even dumber because his brain's rotting out of his fucking ears.
right. And what disturbs me about this is a young man who's going to be going to college. I'm glad to see that. I'm fearful that we have an epidemic of stupid in this country. People who don't pay
Oh, we
attention,
do.
people
We
who don't
absolutely do.
investigate, people who don't think. They read clickbait or headlines, which are usually skewed or wrong, and that's what they live their lives, and that's how they make their decisions. That's the
Yeah.
thing I don't know how we fix. We can't fix stupid, as they tend to say.
I feel like short form content has been really damaging to the intelligence of all the young people. It really has been. And by that I mean things like TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram. The only the only short form content site that ever did anything right, that could ever do it properly, was Vine. And the reason for that is that Vine's videos were so short that it forced its creators to get creative. It
Yeah.
forced them to be smart. And then they would do things that were really smart or really witty or, just fun to watch. And people could compile them into these big long compilations and it was all perfectly fun and enjoyable. And then for some reason Facebook got involved with Vine and went and fucked it up because Facebook fucks everything up.
Well, when you talk about the short forms type stuff, this is something I never had when I was a young man because we didn't have the internet. We didn't have all these apps. And I understand what you're saying about TikTok. A lot of what's on TikTok is mindless. Some of it is flat out lies or propaganda.
Yeah.
There is
You couldn't
there
do
is
that
some
on Vine.
no, you couldn't do much of anything. You had to do it in a short period of time. And actually, when I first started on TikTok, I was limited to 60 seconds. And that was hard. It wasn't as hard for me as a lot of people because was used to doing commercials and stuff like that, having to fit it within that 60-second time limit. But I did like it when they expanded it because I could go more into the story. As much as short form has been bad for people, the nice thing is on TikTok and in YouTube, you do have shorter form things that are informative, that are truthful, and is now kind of helping us get the message across. I mean, when you hear that Midas Touch is beating Joe Rogan, that's got to make you feel a little bit better. I mean, Midas Touch
Yeah.
isn't my taste. I mean, I like what they say and I believe what they say and I know they're doing a good job. It's just that for me, and I don't have a short attention span. I like to see a lot of shit. I want the information. And then when something interests me, then I can go investigate it. Now, most people don't do that. That's why they don't know fuck all about fuck all. But I understand what you're saying. Some of the some of the things that we have watched, even on television, have really kind of understimulated the minds of young people and old people, for that matter, too. And
Yeah.
we've got to challenge people a little bit more. That's why I was surprised that I was able to get any followers on TikTok because I'm not doing really goofy shit. I'm explaining things that they could have gotten for themselves by reading or listening to the media or a combination thereof. I'm not doing anything really entertaining, other than giving some
Fuck, you're
information
not.
and saying
I
fuck
mean,
now and then.
you attracted this young white dipshit, so
Well, that's my point. That's my point. And other people like me are doing this, and it's good because now you have an interest, you have a reason to watch me, and then get the information that you're not getting from everybody else. So in some respects, we need to be able to use social media to change the tone. It may have fucked up what we're doing now, but that would mean we would be able to fix it too if we had the right kind of
yeah.
programming and did it in a way that people like you would want to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to round out my thing here because oh God, I gotta stop. My head's gonna explode. But
Okay.
I got two things to end off on. One was I mentioned in Britain before, Reform, the
Mhm.
Reform Party in Britain, which is they're the right wing MAGA fucks basically with Nigel Farage, who as well as so politely pointed out before is a fucking racist. They they imploded in public too. I mean, some public meltdown or scandal or something happened, and then their numbers went to shit. Almost as much as the Tories did, because the Tories they got packed up. They're done. They got
Yeah.
steamrolled, and so that happened, which gives me hope for Britain, because I think I might be doing like a study abroad thing there as like a part of like a precursor thing to going up to Canada. I think SRJC does like study abroad programs, so I'm interested in getting invested in that. The other thing I wanted to get to before I ended up was RFK Jr., that brainwormed bag of crap. This was a while back, and I wanted to find a time to talk about it. Mentioned how for people for people with drug problems, but also people with he implied also people with ADHD and autism, which I got both of those. He wants to send them to quote unquote wellness farms. You know what I hear when I hear wellness farms? I hear fucking concentration camp.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, but
Go
you
back
got
to
to,
Germany, you Nazi fuck. I mean, fuck, you might want to do that anyway because the fucking AFD got second place in their elections. What the fuck, Germany? I thought you hated
yeah,
Nazis. Why would you vote for them?
that's a good point. Well, you got to feel some comfort in though that the DOJ or is it the DOJ, the FDA, or whoever the fuck's going to do it? They're going to do an investigation into the effects vaccines have on autism, even though it's been
Oh my
debunked for a million
fucking
years.
god. It's it's not a thing. It doesn't exist. That one guy published that one stupid incorrect paper 20 years ago. And then, like Eric said, he lost his license and he took the fucking paper back.
Yeah.
Vaccines do not cause autism. I will say it again, people. Vaccines do not cause autism. And if anyone tells me to that, you're lying, you're being stupid, or you're just looking to piss me off. And god damn it if you aren't succeeding.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you this, from the time I was born to the age of 65, I've been getting all kinds of vaccines over the years, every year. I got all the COVID vaccines. I've got every vaccine I needed, measles vaccines, all this sort of stuff. And clearly, I'm not autistic. Maybe vaccines give old guys attitudes because I certainly had that. But it's I don't understand the point. It's been debunked. Everybody knows it's been debunked, and that's one of the most disturbing things I find about our Congress and the Republican Party. There are people that know better about what Donald Trump is saying and Elon Musk is saying and RFK Jr. is saying. They know it's wrong. They know it's not true, but they refuse to push back, and all they do is agree with them. I don't understand where that how they get in their minds that this is going to work out well for them in the end, because it's not. It's going to work out poorly for them.
I think part of it is they think the problem with the Republicans, but also the Democrats to some extent, is they think Orange Voldemort is who America is. They think that he's who we are. They think that they got to agree with him because the American people agree with him, and that they'll be in trouble electorally or otherwise if they don't. No, dudes. The guy won. The guy won because a whole bunch of people are racist, a whole bunch of people are sexist, a whole ton of people are completely economically illiterate. I'm just going to come out and say it right now. I am convinced now that it's gotten to a point where the American people have become so fucking stupid that the only economy they will think is good is one where anyone can make stupid amounts of money by literally doing nothing at all. That is how little trust I have in my own countrymen at this point.
I I tend to agree with you there. That it's unfortunate we have that many stupid people, and I know when my kids were young, and I saw that a lot of people were stupid, and I knew my kids were pretty bright. I thought, well, this is a good thing. If my kids are bright, they should rise to the top like cream easily enough because everybody else is fucking stupid, and they've done fine. But not what I expected. We see stupid people in positions of power, and we cannot imagine how that fucking ever happened.
Well, yeah, it's
I mean, you're a smart kid and you should raise to the top like any other smart kid does, and hopefully that happens. You're early on. I mean, that's the one thing about what's going on right now that troubles me. You and I have completely different perspectives. I'm going to be 65 next month. My life has been lived. I kind of know what's going to happen in the future. There's not much that's going to change. But if someone said to me, would you like to go back in time and be 20 years old again? Fuck no. I know how hard it is. And at my age now, I don't have the energy to go through the shit I did when I was 20 all the way up to where I am now. So I have a lot of empathy for young people. I think this country, whether it be under Democrat or Republican Party, have put young people behind the eight ball and they feel like there's no way out for them. And the fact of the matter is, neither Republicans or Democrats have shown them a way out. And that is troubling. I worry about my kids and grandkids when our fucked up governmental system, both sides, have done this to young people. And they're going to regret it because 2028, the bulk of the people voting will be millennials and Gen Zs. There's going to be a lot of people losing jobs out there because they didn't pay attention to what was important.
yeah. You talk about a way out. I don't think I've made it clear with the whole thing with Canada. This is my way out, is
I
what this is,
understand.
because I'm not getting what I want homegrown. I'm not getting a good opportunity. I don't even getting a decent shot homegrown. So why would I stay here when I'm not getting anything? That's what I don't understand about all the people in the blue states. People who live in blue states and then complain about them, or or all this stuff. People complain about the spot you live in. Like, I hate to be patronizing, but you guys do know nobody's stopping you from just moving to a different state, right?
Right.
And people love to rag on California, but you know why we have so many more homeless people here? Because you can survive as a homeless person here, where you can't in many other places.
Right. Well, you can't do it in Minnesota between November and fucking April. Too fucking cold
No,
to
no,
sleep
you can't.
outside.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of wind things down here because yeah, my
You're
I
gonna
gotta
wind
wind
things
things
down
down.
because you're winding up, right?
Yeah, I've been trying to keep it down because I don't want to wake up the whole neighborhood or whatever it's going to go on. So, someone's probably going to write in the comments, "Ooh, somebody please throw a bucket of water over Jay. His head's getting a little hot." But and to end on the Canada thing, a couple of things I should just throw out there real quick. Like I said before, the conservatives with Pierre Poilievre, PP, as Gypsy Sue and other people have called him, he's
Right.
floundering. He doesn't know what the fuck to do because his main whipping dog is out of the fence. What the fuck are you gonna do, Pierre? Is like I said before. Another thing was Danielle Smith, the premier of Alberta, who's a a dumbass hillbilly uh, corn husker from Alberta tried to go down to Mar-a-Lago and play buddy buddy with Donald Trump. She got a crazy amount of shit for that. She's in deep trouble right now. People calling her office, going like, what the hell, what are you doing? I mean, she's starting to push back. She's putting in all these measures, like, well, we're not going to stop selling oil, but we're going to have to conduct all these measures. She's having to fold a little bit too. I'm a little bit more impressed with what Doug Ford did though.
Yeah.
Even though he's a conservative and he's a dumb as bricks, like we said, like the states of Minnesota and Minneapolis. Really, Doug? Really? Like, God. Another thing though is if you're ever looking for some hope from our neighbors to the north, look up Charlie Angus. God damn, that guy is on fire.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Charlie Angus is a Canadian MP. He's a member of the New Democratic Party in the federal in the federal Parliament. He's with Jagmeet Singh. He's with the New Democratic Party. That's to the left of their Liberal Party, which is formerly Justin Trudeau's party, now Mark Carney's party. And he has dropped so many just amazing speeches on the floor of Parliament, dealing with calling out Donald Trump, calling out Elon Musk. I mean, geez, that guy has more balls than all of Fox News and all the other right wing dipshits put together.
Yeah. Well,
And he's been a Midas touch a bunch of times too.
Well, that's what I've said to people. I had an argument with Richard Green about, he says Chuck Schumer did the right thing. He's my hero for doing that.
God, Richard Green. Will that guy please just fuck off already?
Yeah, he kind of, he thinks of us as pals, and I really don't know him that well. I don't dislike the guy. I appreciate some of the things he does. I don't agree with him, and I think that's why he wanted me on his live, because he knew I wouldn't agree with him, and I'd give him a tussle. Richard tends to go on and on and on and on and on about shit. So I told him, yeah, if you shut up, I'll tell you. I don't think he liked that, but I'm not here to get people to like me. But what I was trying to explain to Richard Green, he said, there's not much we can do because they have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency. And while that's true, you don't sit there with your thumb up your ass doing nothing, waiting for it to be over. At the very least, we've got to be strong. We've got to be tough. We've got to be in your face. We've got to be calling them out. We've got to be fighting on their level. Does that get us more votes in the House? No, but at least shows some strength. And let's remember, how did Donald Trump win the 2024 election? Because people believed he was strong. So let's make people believe we are stronger, because we are. We're smarter and we're stronger.
Yeah, of course we
but
are.
we're too wimpy to stand up and say it. So I think, what you're talking about with this guy being on fire and some of the people in this country, Tim Walz, my governor, is in Nebraska and Iowa and North Dakota having town hall meetings where Republicans refuse to do it. And he's become very successful at it. I personally think this is kind of a precursor to somebody who wants to run for president. And being a white guy, he might be a hot prospect. And Pritzker, too.
Yeah, JB Pritzker, Tim Walz, I'd take either of them over fucking Gavin Newsom. Good God Almighty. Let me round this out off to you. I'm gonna sign off because again, I'm still kind of
No, I get it. I don't want to fire you up.
The engines are running a little hot here, but next time you see Richard Green and he tries to play all buddy buddy with you and spit this bipartisan bullshit, like, stop with the bipartisan stuff, maybe just subtly tell this guy in your head from me, just imagine, like, let him know Canada J sent you, and let him know first off, fuck off, you stupid hoser, which is that's a Canada term, which for a stupid person, or as they say in Quebec, va chier. And that guy can va chier all the way off.
Well, I'm not completely fooled by Richard Green. Richard Green, one of the things he does every time he talks,
he's a Trump humper. There's no other way to put it. He's a MAGA fuck. I'm just gonna say
it seems like that he refuses to say that, but he'll always say, "Well, I'm a lawyer. I taught civics. I teach speech," and he'll always come to me and be very, very That's the word I'm looking for. He'd be very nice to me, and he will be complimentary of me about the way I do what I do. And I go, listen, man, I don't do anything except sit here in my fucking living room saying the shit I say. There is no strategy to it. It's just how I think and how I talk. But, and I don't mean to be arrogant about this, but I know why people do what they do. I read people pretty well.
Me,
Richard
no, me too.
Green
I get it.
Richard Green has 58,000 followers, which is respectable, which is respectable. I have about almost 450,000. So he thinks by getting me on his live, he's going to be able to build more viewers. It doesn't work that way.
He's a fucking coattail writer.
It's the same idea that Trumplafucks do when they come in my lives. They can't build a platform on their own. So they got to come to somebody who does have a platform and try to get people's attention. But you dumb motherfuckers, you're coming to a place where people don't like you. You couldn't sell them fucking water in the desert because they don't like you. So to come on my platform or somebody else's platform and try to tell the opposite of what everybody believes, it just doesn't work. But it's kind of pitiful. It's kind of sad. I understand what people are doing. Richard, I kind of like a little bit, and he's friends with Abe, so that's why I give him some credit.
I I gotta be honest with you. I do not vibe with Abe.
Okay.
Really. I mean, I
Abe's a little different than me too, but Abe's a little different, but Abe is totally different than Richard because I know Abe. I've met Abe. He's a good guy. He's got a good heart. He's a little emotional about shit. So what he says is sometimes based on emotion and not just
yeah.
logic.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have to drop off in a second here, but I will round this out by saying next time you see, Old Soul, you know, Eric, TJ, Will, any other folks in this community, hell, to your viewers and friends from Canada when they pop in your TikTok lives, just tell them Jay wanted to say how she bootin' her, as they say in Canada.
What's that mean?
It's I'm kind of having trouble understanding what it means. It's kind of like it comes from like how's she about in something. I don't know where it comes from, but it basically it's the equivalent of like yo what's up or what's going
Okay.
on.
Okay. I got you. I
I'm
got you.
still okay. I literally I'm getting a lot of the stuff that I'm getting this stuff from first of all my friends in Canada, but also from this book that I got when I started on this journey called "So You Want to Move to Canada, eh?" And my response to that is, "Why, yes, yes, I do." So yeah,
Well, it's going to be interesting, and I don't want to keep you any longer. I've kept you longer than I was supposed to, but I'm a
no,
bad
that
boy.
that
I'm
I,
a
sh- I should have
rebel.
just dropped out. I should have just dropped out when I it was easier, but the motor just kept on running.
That's all right. I'll let you cool down and get your wits about you again. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for reaching out
No, no problem. Thanks for having me.
and coming on, and feel free to come on anytime. And I always enjoy talking to you. It's great to get a perspective of somebody younger,
Yeah.
somebody who's
Oh
dealing
wait,
with shit that I'm not dealing with.
one more thing. As a last parting shot, part of my new regalia.
Oh, a Canadian flag.
I
Nice.
got that as a Christmas present. So yeah, now I'm
Did
officially flying the colors.
did we piss off the cat? Because we haven't seen the cat today.
Um, no, I think I pissed off the cat earlier because I was playing a board game in VR. She walked up on my lap and I didn't pet her enough. So
Well, you better go straighten that shit out because that's not going to go well. But Jay, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it. I know people
yep.
look forward to having you on, and don't hesitate to check the comments on the YouTube page because I'm sure people
Oh
will
no,
be
I
making those
absolutely
comments.
do every time.
All right. Well, that's
All right.
perfect. Thank you very much for those listening. Thank you for
Yeah.
taking the time. I hope you have a great
Fuck
day.
Donald Trump. Fuck MAGA. Fuck Republicans. Fuck all of those motherfuckers.
I endorse that comment, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.